leaving the situation that he was in and getting a fresh start was going to be a good thing anyway. But he's stepping into a situation where it's an organization that will do whatever it takes to win and build the pieces around it. He has weapons at the receiver position, running back position. He's got a great defense, still a top-tier defense. Defensive-minded head coach, but with an offensive coordinator that's been in this system now for almost 20 years. And I think he's at that point in his career too, where it's that balance of enough experience and still playing at a high level, having all your physical capabilities. So he's at that point where he's got it all. Now here's the opportunity to really go and showcase it.
The former New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees had some interesting comments about the Raiders and also Derek Carr, and he actually stuck up for Derek Carr a lot. We'll get into what he said, and it's really crazy to think about the fact that Derek Carr is such a polarizing quarterback figure still after about 10 years in his NFL career, and I think it's because he's been with the Raiders for the majority of the time, and the Raiders are a team that have struggled tremendously. And you've even had, media and recent reports from team media of the Raiders sort of slammed Derek Carr as he exited with Josh McDaniels and the Las Vegas Raiders. And we know Josh McDaniels, well, he's not known to be the friendliest coach of all time. I think he's only been friendly when he's been yelled at by Tom Brady. But since Josh McDaniels has been in Denver, we knew that he was a hothead there, yelled at players, made some comments before, this is according to a former offensive lineman, that he could turn a high schooler into an all-pro QB. And that was after he moved on from their quarterback, Jay Cutler. And he alienated Jay Cutler immediately when he joined that team. And then now, when he joined the Raiders, it seemed like he sort of alienated Derek Carr from the get-go. We've heard of reports that Derek Carr tried to chime in and give some insight on what to do with the offense, and he would just say comments like, just run the play. And on our Raiders channel, we have documented tons of videos about the fallout between Derek Carr and the Raiders and Josh McDaniels, how he played a part in it, and how it seemed like he never really wanted this guy from the get-go. Keep in mind, that contract extension that Derek Carr had last year always had that 1 year out, which made it a little fishy. And the real slander that was really crazy towards the end of the season when Derek Carr was finally benched, when it seemed like he was going to be let go after that Christmas Eve game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was a report from Sports Illustrated, a writer, Hondo Carpenter. Well, he had this damning report from anonymous players and sources, anonymous people who work in the building. This is always funny when people use anonymous, you're never able to verify it, so it ends up becoming just sort of an opinion piece. But he claimed Derek Carr could not take criticism from Josh McDaniels, especially criticism in front of teammates, and he was not able to handle it. And this has been an ongoing problem throughout, Derek Carr's career. And because Derek Carr could not handle Josh McDaniels' harsh criticism, that's why things didn't work out. When really, if you look at the whole backstory about this and Josh McDaniels' history of quarterback, Josh McDaniels was clearly never trying to make this work and never trying to collaborate with these players. And that is why you actually had the NFLPA report card come out recently, where the lowest category for the Raiders was coaching. And there was actually even a blurb that was mentioned specifically about coaching in this NFLPA report card. And this did not happen for many other teams, where it specifically said that Josh McDaniels does not listen to players.
Team report cards that the NFLPA put out, they didn't mention every coaching staff, but select coaching staffs, the really good ones and the really poorly rated ones, they mentioned, and yours was mentioned as not using players' times efficiently. And I think it said they felt like you don't listen to them, was what it said in the overview. Did you read that, and what was your reaction to reading that?
I heard it. I didn't read the whole thing. I heard it. I'm aware of that. Obviously, those things aren't, you don't like to hear those things.
So even though you have these negative reports coming from other players who are not just Derek Carr, apparently, according to this writer that's sympathetic to the head coach in the current regime of the Raiders, Derek Carr could not handle criticism. But this is very odd because Derek Carr has been coached by John Gruden, a guy who's known to chew out his quarterbacks especially.
Get the going, Nate. Let's go. You gotta hurry up, man. It takes forever. Start the motion, get it going.
And Derek Carr has even made comments about the fact that, he's been tough on him.
He gets after me just like he gets after everybody else. If I screw up, he lets me know it in front of everybody.
And so this just seemed like a bogus report, and it just seemed like slander. And that's why you have Drew Brees coming out here and defending Derek Carr, also saying that he had to deal with the organization that is the Raiders.
Always thought he was a fairly underrated player. Probably didn't get the respect that he he deserved. Obviously, he was in a tough situation there with the Raiders, based on a lot of the things that have happened there over the last few years. And I think he kind of caught the brunt of that unfairly. And I think you shoulder a lot of that burden as the quarterback anyway.
And so Derek Carr is still experiencing some of this criticism. There still seems to be a question mark around him, even though individually and statistically, he's always played quite well. The main knock that he's always had is the win columns and then the lack of touchdowns. But we often wonder, is it the team around him? Is it not getting enough possessions? And it seems like we're going to find out a lot about Derek Carr with this upcoming year. Just like Drew Brees has mentioned, he's going to have a lot of control as to what he wants to do with the offense.
He's shown the ability to execute complicated offenses where, a lot is put on the quarterback position. He's proven that. Obviously, a lot of that was Gruden's system with the Raiders, and we run a version of that, with the West Coast. And
he's already brought in some old friends like Brian Edwards, former wide receiver of the Raiders, and he's going to have a lot of weapons out there in New Orleans, and we're going to find out if Drew Brees is right. Was it primarily the Raiders' problem during the Derek Carr era, or was it a Derek Carr problem? And I think that's why the Saints are going to be one of the more interesting teams to watch this year in the NFL, because you're going to just learn so much about their entire roster. Is the defense still it? Has it regressed? There's an opinion that a lot of people have. It's not the same defense it used to be, and we know Cam Jordan is still on that one-year contract. And does Michael Thomas still have it? Can he still be that elite receiver that he used to be in the NFL? And will Derek Carr be able to take advantage of this opportunity and prove that maybe Josh McDaniels should have been pushed out of Las Vegas before Derek Carr? Either way, let me know what you think is going to happen. Let me know what you think about some of Drew Brees' comments. Is he right about all this? Or do you not agree with Drew Brees and think that Derek Carr is underrated for a reason? My name is WiFiWillie. I got other NFL videos all the time here. Make sure you subscribe and check out some of these other clips you may have missed. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.